Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. In this video, we'll discuss NVIDIA stock price movement for today. We'll try to make an assessment for next week using technical charts, fundamentals, and forward PE. We'll also take a look at SMCI stock price movement in this video. Now, let's get started. You see NVIDIA stock chart for today on your screen. NVIDIA opened at 129.96. It made a high 132.84. It made a low 128.32 and it closed at 131.88. That is 1.75% up. So NVIDIA is again up today as we expected yesterday that NVIDIA had some potential to go further up today. Now let's talk about what should we expect regarding Nvidia stock price for next week. Let's take a look at this table. So I'm showing you this file. I shared with you this file sometime early this week as well. So I updated this file with today's Nvidia stock price, and today is almost 1 week after the stock split became effective. So as of this point, NVIDIA is 38.89% up from the announcement date. If you compare with the last cycle, the 1 week after effective date in the last split cycle, NVIDIA went up about 28.16% from the announcement date. So next week will be the second week after the effective date. So let's take a look what happened in the last cycle. So in the last cycle, Nvidia also maintained its upward momentum in the second week. And also one cycle before that, you see that in the second week, Nvidia maintained the upward momentum. But two cycle prior, we see that Nvidia started going down from second week. So statistically speaking, yes, there is still some chance Nvidia will go further up next week, but the upward movement should be slower than this week and last week. But I will be very cautious at the end of next week because you take a look after second week, you see that Nvidia started going down in the last split cycle. So in the third week, Nvidia went down probably about 4%, and the fourth week again 4% down. And 2 weeks prior, you see that from second week to third week, there was very small upward movement, but from third to fourth, it went down also. So third week after the effective date and fourth week after the effective date, we might expect some drop or slowdown in Nvidia stock price movement. Now let's take a look forward PE for NVIDIA and SMCI. You see this table and I updated this table with the latest forward PE based on today's closing price for all of these four stocks. So NVIDIA at this point is 48.84 forward PE, so it continues to go up from last 5 weeks. And also SMCI, you see that compared with last week, SMCI went up. So I made a comment last week that at this point, SMCI is a very good investment. The same thing happened yesterday. You notice SMCI went up about 13%, but there was some drop today, probably about 3 or 4%. But I expect that SMCI should go further up next week. Let's take a quick look at SMCI stock price movement for today. So you see that on your screen, SMCI went down about 3% today. But last 5 days, you see that already 10.7% up. And last 1 month, 11% down. And last 6 months, 181.41% up, higher than Nvidia. So this also validates my finding that SMCI has more potential to go further up this quarter than Nvidia. As I mentioned yesterday that I sold out my SMCI stock around 845, but today I bought SMCI stocks again around 835. and I think that it was a good buying point. There is a possibility that SMCI can drop a little bit more early next week, but eventually, my understanding is SMCI should go up next week. Now, let's take a look technical charts regarding Nvidia. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia and also the MACD chart. You see that MACD chart showed some positive momentum yesterday and day before yesterday. And today also in the morning there was some upward momentum also, but in afternoon it started going down. So this tells me that probably Monday we might see some little drop on Nvidia. Now let's take a look 30 minutes chart. The 30 minutes chart is telling a better picture. You see that in the 30 minutes chart, the short term chart, the trend is down at this point. So the MACD started going down since this afternoon. So I guess this should continue on the Monday morning as well. Now let's take a look Bollinger Bands. You see Bollinger Bands in hourly interval chart for Nvidia. As of this point, you see that Nvidia stock chart started going down and still is above the blue line, that is 20-day moving average, but the movement is downward, right? So there is a possibility that it can cross the 20-day moving average and can go further down, just like this one. See, same behavior, touch the upper line, but after that it started going down, and then you see more downward pressure on Nvidia last week. Now let's take a look Fibonacci levels. You see Fibonacci levels on your screen. I selected the same lowest point, that is 93.89, and the highest is 131.99. So based on the Fibonacci levels, the 23% retracement is at 123. So next level of support is 123. But as of this point, I do not see Nvidia go down and touch 123 anytime early next week. So let's draw Fibonacci levels by selecting a slightly different lowest point, maybe somewhere here. So let's redraw Fibonacci levels. Now it's looking better. It gives a better short-term picture on Nvidia. So next level of support in the short term is 126.3. So if Nvidia goes down next week, then the next level of support is 126.3. It doesn't mean that Nvidia will go and try to break it, but if it breaks, then the next level is 122.79. You see that highest positive change is in Avago, that is 3.34%, and then Nvidia, that is 1.75%, and then Palantir, 1.29%, and then Microsoft, that is 0.22%. But after that, you see all negative closing on Amazon, AMD, Apple, SMCI, and SoundHound. I got some SoundHound shares sometime this morning. I thought it's a good price to buy, but it went further down. So I guess that was not a good decision. But I hope it will rebound next week. And regarding Avago or Broadcom, you know that the split news is helping Avago go further up this week. But next week, let's see what happens. I do not see that Avago should be moving that high next week. Maybe it can go further high, but the pace will be slow next week. For Avago, there is no point of reference, unlike NVIDIA, because in the past I do not find any historical stock split data. So maybe Avago did not do the stock split in the past. If it did, let me know in the comment section. Now let's take a look economic data. So you take a look Monday next week, nothing big coming up. Tuesday also looks to me a slower day, nothing much coming up. And Wednesday, not much data. Thursday also nothing important except a weekly initial jobless claim that might be somewhat important but not much. And then Friday, also nothing big coming up. So, next week, regarding the fundamentals or economic data, is a quiet week, right? So, next week, there is not much fundamentals or economic data that can pull stocks down. So, if Nvidia or other stock goes down next week, that might be a correction. But I'm not expecting a big drop on Nvidia next week. So that's all for today regarding NVIDIA and SMCI. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.